Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Annalisa and this is Homemade Sunshine. So, as you can see, I am no longer pregnant. I've got my little boy here and I thought I'd share some about his birth story and all of that. If you're new, welcome. I am a 26-year-old homemaker living in East Tennessee with my husband, our very crazy cat who will sometimes appear in videos, and our new little baby boy. So we don't plan on sharing like exactly when he was born or his full name or anything like that. Those are just not details that we plan on sharing. And this is about as much as you're going to see of him, is just him in the wrap with me. I don't plan on having him really on camera. So that's kind of our boundaries and what we feel comfortable with as a family. But I'll tell you some about his birth story, even if I'm not sharing the exact day he was born. So I went into labor first thing in the morning, which was a huge answer to prayer. I had been praying that I would wake up and be in labor. I was really concerned about being somebody who goes into labor at like 8 o'clock at night and then labors through the night. I was just worried that I wouldn't be able to keep up stamina-wise with it. And I'm very thankful that I didn't. I woke up around, I think, 5 or 6 in the morning that day and was just like, oh, I'm definitely in labor. Like, I just knew it immediately. I started timing the contractions. I woke my husband up and said, I think it's go time. So go ahead and get yourself ready, but be quick about it. So, you know, no taking a long time with the morning routine. So we got ready and went to the hospital. Luckily, our community has a hospital. We have a small rural community hospital here, which was a great experience in that fact. They just do, they have labor and delivery, and they do like, basic surgeries. Because I was not high risk, I was able to deliver here, which was another huge blessing because I didn't have to drive super far. Where we lived at before we bought this house, I would have had to have driven an hour to a hospital because just of where we were located. I would have had to have driven an hour in active labor, and I was not looking forward to that. So this was much nicer. It was much closer, and we got there, and I was one of 3 women already in labor that day, they told me, because I said, oh, how many other people are here? I was just curious. So that was also nice because we were able to get, plenty of attention, all of that sort of a thing, versus I feel like maybe necessarily being in a larger hospital. I was already 5 centimeters dilated when I got there, and I did get an epidural. I am so thankful for modern medicine and the epidural because I could not have labored any longer without it. I was just unable to keep going. I was just in so much pain that I could hardly speak. I was just exhausted, and I had a very hard labor. So I was very happy to be able to get the relief and actually be able to be more coherent, because I think if I hadn't have gotten it, I would have just been totally out of it by the time he got here. So that was wonderful. I had him in the early afternoon after laboring since, 5 or 6 in the morning. He came in the early afternoon. So not a horribly long labor, but not a quick one either. I feel like it was pretty average. I did push for 2.5 hours, which was awful. I hope I never have to push that long again. So he ended up being a vacuum assist delivery, which was also, once again, thankful for modern medicine. I'm thankful that we were able to get a vacuum assist. I know some people, nobody wants to get a vacuum assisted or a forceps assisted delivery. But at that point, it was either going to be a vacuum assist or a C-section because we were just not progressing, and neither one of us was doing very well by that point. So we had a vacuum assist. He was able to come out, and it was great. I did tear some, not as terribly as some people tear, but I did tear, which was not, of course, fun. But I was not shocked either by the point that we were having to have a vacuum assist. I figured, okay, I'm going to tear probably if we're going to have to pull him out at this point. But it was a wonderful experience. I had great nurses. I had great physicians. So even though I had a hard labor, I was in the right place, and all of that was wonderful. So my husband and my mom were in the delivery room with me. And because it was so long, I had to keep taking turns of who was holding my leg up because it was a lot. It was a lot for us to try to keep going. I of course, burst into tears as soon as he was born. So did my mom. My husband almost cried, but he didn't. He's not a big crier, so he was very close to crying, but he didn't. It was a lot. I mean, I think they were both just also emotional from seeing me in pain for so long. And then that he was finally here, and I was just like, I just was so shocked when he came out, because I mean, he wasn't a huge baby, but I was like, how did something that big just come out of me? Is what I feel like the first thing I thought. I was like, how did something so large come out of me? But that was all wonderful. We stayed for about 24 hours. I could have stayed another 24, but I opted to go home. So that was fine either way. But all in all, it was a good labor and delivery experience. I don't feel traumatized by it at all or anything like that, even though it was hard. It was very hard. But I didn't go into it with a birth plan. There's a lot of videos on YouTube talking about like my birth plan or writing your birth plan or things like that, which I have no judgment. If you want to do that, that's fine. I did not do a birth plan. I just didn't feel like it was right for me. I didn't feel comfortable doing one. I had mild opinions on some things, but not entirely. I used to work in an ER, so I was used to seeing labors, because we did have some births in our ER while I worked there. I was used to seeing like women coming in and your whole birth plan's just scrapped because you're giving birth in the parking lot or you're giving birth in the ER waiting room or whatever. So I just didn't have, that was my experience seeing birth, was I didn't want to have some really concrete plan of what I did or didn't want to do, because I knew that God's ultimately got your birth in his plans, and there's only so much you can control. So I didn't want to be anxious or upset if my birth did not go the way that I was hoping. So, I mean, like, I would have never been like, yeah, I totally want a vacuum assisted birth, or, oh, I'm totally wanting to get an epidural or whatever. I was just kind of open-handed with it, with like, whatever God's plan is for this labor is what his plan is. And whatever they have to do, they're going to have to do, you know, because sometimes things need to be done for the safety of both mama and baby. And I didn't want to feel regretful that I didn't get this magical, perfect, holistic birth. Because I thought, well, maybe I won't get an epidural and I'll be able to bounce on the ball. I could not get out of the bed. I could not move, because my mom was like, do you want to try to get on the ball? And I was like, no, I don't want the ball. I don't want to get up. I don't want to move. I was not doing very well. But yes, I don't want to get the ball. I don't want to get in the tub. I don't want to do anything else. I can't move. I'm in too much pain by this point. So it was a good labor and delivery. He's been very healthy. Everything's been mostly pretty good. Just he's sleeping very well at night. Daytime, not so much unless he's in the wrap, which is fine. But he is sleeping very well through the night. He sleeps generally from like 10:30 to like 5 generally, which is a long time for him at this point. So that's been super awesome. And he's gaining plenty of good weight, because we had talked about that at the pediatrician last time. I was like, do I need to be waking him up? And she's like, he's gaining like crazy. He's fine. Like, he's been surpassing what he needs to be for his growth. So praise the Lord on that. He just nurses real well during the day, and he'll do like a big feed at night. Like, he'll want to nurse a ton at nighttime, and then he will sleep for a very long time on that. So yeah, sometimes he gets up at 4, sometimes he gets up at 6, but on average, it's generally about 5 o'clock, and he generally falls asleep around 10:30, 11. So we're doing pretty good on the sleeping part. He's eating very well. He doesn't care what you're feeding him as long as he's fed, because we did have to supplement with formula at the beginning. And I say that because I felt really guilty about having to do that, but I'm glad I did, because I was just not, he was wanting to eat more than I could produce at first. Now I'm producing totally fine, but he was just like, very much so giving hunger cues, and I was like, I can't feed him anymore, so I'm gonna have to give him formula. So I just say that to say that, you know, if you're having a supplement at the beginning, that doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to have enough, I don't know, what is the word for it? Enough, you're not going to produce enough, you're not going to have enough stock to later be able to exclusively, you know, nurse your baby, because I've been able to find now, that, you know, I can produce enough, and I can give him formula. So I just say that to say that, you know, if you're having a supplement at the beginning, that doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to have enough, I don't know, what is the word for it? Enough, you're not going to produce enough, you're not going to have enough stock to later be able to exclusively, you know, nurse your baby, because I've been able to find now but I also didn't want to let him go hungry. So I was able to formula feed, but Lord, he would eat formula. Any bottle you gave him, he was fine to go back to breastfeeding. He was good. I mean, he's very calm, and I know that's not every baby, and I know some babies don't like to take a bottle. I know some don't want to go back to breastfeeding after feeding from a bottle, all of that. But he is just totally like, whatever you want to give me, I'm good. So he is not picky in that aspect. He's fine if you've pumped and you're giving him. Yeah, I'm telling them what a good boy you are. Yeah, you are. He is a very good little boy. Yeah. 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 He's very good. So we've just been enjoying our time here at home. My husband's been fantastic throughout all of this. He's a wonderful support. He's very good at taking care of our son, all of that, taking care of me. So I'm very blessed. He gets 12 weeks of paternity leave, which has been a huge blessing. Because the job he'd had before, he would have only had 2 weeks. And when we hit the 2-week mark, I was like, I cannot imagine him going back to work right now, which I know tons of people's husbands do that. And I don't want to say, like, I feel very privileged and very blessed for my husband to have as much time off as he does. So I'm just saying how I can recognize how grateful and thankful I am that my husband does have the time off that he does, because we were still not really in a groove at the 2-week mark. So I've been very happy to have him home. And he also does work from home. So even when he goes back, I mean, not like I can bother him during the day, you know, he's got work to do. But I feel comfortable knowing that, like, if there was an emergency, he's not far away. He's right here if something really bad were to happen. You know what I mean? If I was having to say, like, say he was really sick and I was having to go to the ER or something, God forbid. But, you know, if I was like, something really bad was happening, I could quickly go tell him and say, as soon as you can get off work, I need you to come. Like, I need you to, like, call your boss and we need to go or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's not like he's hours away. At one point, he was working a job that took him on the road. And I was so scared at that point. I was like, well, if we have children, I'm going to be so scared if something goes wrong and he's like 2 states away. Like, he can't get back here quickly. So I'm very thankful that in the case of an emergency, he's here. Or heaven forbid something happens to me and I need to be like, you know, going in there or saying like, you know, call your boss. You've got to take off early. I need to go to the hospital. I've fallen down the stairs, because I have fallen down the stairs once here. Only sprained an ankle, but just for reference, I have fallen down the stairs in this house. We live in an old house, so we have very steep stairs to be able to fall down. So I feel very blessed and very thankful. We're in a good position. I'm healthy. He is extremely healthy. Lord, he's healthy as a horse. He is doing so well, gaining weight, all of that, and he's just perfect. I'm doing well, and I may look tired because I'm definitely still tired, but I've been able to get some naps in, thankfully, where I'm able to just hand the baby off to my husband and say, give me an hour and let me take a nap. So, yeah, and you've been a good boy too. The cat's been great. She's adjusted well to him being here. She doesn't like take a huge interest in him. She's not like, oh my gosh, my best friend, the baby. But she's also doesn't like hate him. She's just kind of like, he lives here now too. You know, she's like, they brought another cat home. We don't think that she understands that he's a person like we are. We think she just thinks he's another cat is what our assumption is. We don't think she understands that he's like our child and he'll grow up to be big like we are. So, yeah, but it's all been good for now. Yeah. And, yeah, it's been awesome. We'll be getting back to more regular videos from here on out. You know, in case something happens with him. My family, of course, always takes #1 priority over YouTube. But we're looking forward to our time ahead. All the holidays coming up. Looking forward to being able to get out of the house with him even more. I've been able to take him out of the house so far, and I always baby wear him. I've been able to show him in the wrap and all of that. So cute. I've not had any like weird experiences taking him out, and it's been super fun. All my ladies at the grocery store who've watched me be pregnant for, you know, a million years have been so excited to get to meet him. I took him on one outing where a senior center had also come at the same time, so he was a big hit with all the people. I could see people like, oh, yeah, like nudging each other, like, look, there's baby. or some people came up and asked me like, how old is he and all of that sort of thing. So it was very fun. He's a big hit when he goes out. So it's been fun. It's been a journey, and we are excited to just continue to get to know him. I will not have a Kroger video coming out for July. We're still working on trying to, I've been able to go to Kroger. I've not been able to film much of going to Kroger. Our big issue has been trying to get there and back. Usually by the time I get back, he is ready to eat, and he is letting me know he's ready to eat. So my husband generally has to put away the groceries by himself while I am changing him and feeding him. So I've not been able to film at this point, so there will not be a video for July. So yeah, that's just an adjustment. Our Kroger shopping trips have turned into multi-hour affairs. He's good in the store. It's getting to the store and back to the home without having to pull over and nurse him in the car. Generally, I've had to nurse him in the car a lot, so it's all just adjustments. We're figuring it out, but just give us the grace. It'll take us a minute to figure out how to do those hauls again, also now on his schedule, because it's his schedule and we're all just living in his schedule at this point with a newborn. So that's it for this week's video. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I post new videos every Monday, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.